Hey, this is Mar, half of Mar and Prash. I love how the nice guys embrace their inner weirdness. I hope saying this doesn't impact my position for future episodes. But here's what's coming up on the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Well, I think the first thing you should do is go to Google and type in the word or phrase, book idea validation. And my article should show up number 1 right there. Click on that and it will help you step through the process of figuring out if your book idea is going to sell on Amazon. If you do this, what the article says, and you find out that nope, there is nobody on Amazon looking for that book, okay? It doesn't mean you can't write the book. But what it does mean is you as an author cannot depend on Amazon to sell the book for you. You've now got to do the marketing tactics of going out on the internet, finding the right market, grab them by the collar and dragging them to your book page. Now, if you're not prepared to do that, okay, then you got to ask yourself, what are you writing that book for?
You look down, they know you're lying. And up, they know you don't know the truth. Don't use 7 words when 4 will do. Don't shift your weight. Look always at your mark, but don't stare. Be specific, but not memorable. Be funny, but don't make him laugh. He's got to like you, then forget you the moment you've left his side. And for God's sakes, whatever you do, don't, under any circumstances, listen to the Nice Guys on Business. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, funkin' fans! Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Strickland Bonner. On the other side of the microphone, Mr. Doug Sandler. It's Monday. You made it through the weekend. Yes, I know it was tough. It was really tough. We always say that, like, hey, you made it through the week. It's Friday right now.
Are you a follower of football at all?
A little bit, not a lot.
No, because this past weekend I didn't watch any football games and I did not participate in any football games. But I noticed it was the attendance at everything that I went to was dramatically lower. Is football now back in season?
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. In other words, the attendance was way down at everything that you went to that was not football.
Yeah, everything that I did, whether it was I went to a pumpkin patch this past weekend. There was like nobody there. It was the best thing ever.
Yeah, well, if you went in the middle of the Redskins game, it probably makes sense.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you who the Redskins played. Wait a minute. No, I can actually tell you that I don't think the Redskins played because I think the Redskins play tonight, actually.
Maybe.
Monday Night Football. Strick, are you still
My Buccaneers won. My Buccaneers won yesterday.
I was going to ask you if you're still a Buccaneers fan.
Yeah, I didn't watch the game at all. I've been too busy doing turnkey podcast stuff. But, it's still all good. I do like the Buccaneers.
Gosh.
And they beat the Giants on Sunday yesterday. So, yay.
Okay, excellent. That's about all the sports coverage you're going to get here on the Nice Guy. Hey, and there's a sale at Origins.
Oh, yeah, I haven't bought my Origin stuff yet. Do I need to go into Macy's to get that? Or
no, you can do it directly online, man.
Well, what if I want to do a test? Didn't Mar say that sometimes in the mall they've got kiosks?
Yes, you can, there is actually, if you just do, I think at the Owings Mill, at the Columbia Mall, there is actually an Origin store. You can walk in, just tell them Doug sent you. It'll be fine. Just tell Sharon that Doug says hi. Everything will be great. Yeah, get a couple of products. I know I showed you. I think I sent a picture to you of all of the products that I use that Origins provides, and you're like, that's a little overwhelming. I just one or two.
I just need to go into the store and actually try that.
Yeah. Find out. Do you like it like a heavy cream on your face? Or do you like more of a light texture? What are you trying to accomplish, Strick? What's your face strategy?
I want to look as young as you.
Well, you know what?
Can't happen. I know it's too late.
A little cream will go a long way. It'll go a long way.
So you know who else looks young is Dave Chesson. But that's because he is young. He has published 7 books. He has 18 websites, and that is drinking 1,723 cups of coffee. And his average monthly income from those books is $9,300.20.
It's crazy. It's crazy. If you want to learn about some of the secrets, the magic, even if you're not a writer, you have got to check this guy out, because what he does is he shares with you some inside tips how to actually use Amazon for free marketing. I mean, it's the coolest thing. He's got a system. I think he's actually even giving the system away. I didn't follow. I'm like, how is he making any money? I think he makes his money through international arms sales. Exactly.
Well, if you go to his website, which is kindlepreneur.com, he does give away his best book marketing tips free. But also, if you go to his other website, Rocket FFL,
So funny.
FFL meaning Federal Firearms License, you can find out about that too. So if you need to get in good with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and of course, my answer to that is always, who's got the chips? Then you can go to Rocket FFL and try to get your FFL and sell guns.
Wait, what is who's got the chips?
That was a T-shirt I saw once at the beach that I thought was hilarious. It's got the logo, the ATF logo, right? Alcohol, tobacco, and now it's alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and shit. What's the last?
There
one
is another one. Is it not? They didn't combine with the DEA, did they?
No. But it is something else that's like lethal like that.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, tobacco of who decided that those things together were good, right? Like if somebody says to me, tobacco, firearms, and alcohol, what am I thinking to myself? Sounds like a party. Who's bringing the chips?
Oh, I got it. That's very good. That's very good. So Dave's got a great system for getting yourself noticed. Forget the fact if you're a writer, not a writer. Regardless, listen to this interview with Dave. Mind blowing, exactly what you can do and how you can actually get really positive press by getting some stuff up on Amazon in the books category. So check out
Or if
this.
you want to sell guns.
Or if you want to sell guns too. All right.
Send lawyers, guns, and money.
We did promise we were going to keep the intros really short this week because the Tuesday and Thursday episodes, of course, we went long with those. So let's get to our interview. Dave Chesson here on the Nice Guys on Business podcast. So if you have a book or thinking about writing a book, or maybe possibly you want to be an international arms dealer or maybe a nuclear engineer, I don't know. But today's show, this is for you. I mean, this is the one for you for sure. Dave Chesson is both a book marketing expert and an arms dealer and a nuclear physicist. I mean, seriously. I mean, so don't fuck with him because if you do, he might blow up you or your house or something, or maybe one of those cool rocket launchers. So welcome, Dave, to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Hey, thanks so much. It's good to be here.
I really, I'm trying to, in my mind, connect all of these things, but it may be obvious to you and maybe to my Nice Guy community through the intro that it's obvious what the connection is, but help me make the connection between book marketing and arms dealing, or maybe the nuclear physicist thing.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a weird path, I guess, is the best way to put it. But one thing that my wife and I have discussed and tried to figure out was that I became a nuclear engineer because I really love the numbers. I love, step-by-step processes. And let's face it, I don't get to shoot from the hip when I'm doing nuclear engineering, right? Let's hope not. But
no, I'm sorry, and I called you wrong. I said physicist and engineer, so there's probably a difference, and you're probably like, you fucking idiot. You don't even know the difference. They're like, no, I don't know the difference. So you don't have to explain it. I'm just letting everybody know. I'm aware that I've made the mistake now, okay?
No worries. Actually, I got my bachelor's in nuclear physics, so I guess technically you can say
good.
It. But
technically,
no,
okay.
So I had done that, but the thing was, a big part of me was about kind of the artistic side. I was a lot more social than most of my comrades in the nuclear department, and I always felt like I was missing another half of me. And so I was in the military at the time that I was doing nuclear engineering, and I decided to switch over to military diplomacy. And in that case, it was more of the sales. It was more about making the other, having influence on the other person and making sure that the best interests of the United States or who we're representing is represented. And so there was this beautiful kind of combination between the two, where one's like a strict regimented, step by step, and the other is more of a creative sales copy type area. And so those two areas were things that I absolutely enjoyed. And when I started to look at life beyond the military, I started to say to myself, what can I do right now to start building a business? And combining those two things I felt were super important for my growth. And it's been one of the things that's been defining for my number one website, which is Kindlepreneur.com, where I help people with book marketing.
Yeah, and what was so cool about that, and you totally put that connection together for me, it is a regimented system. I've watched about a dozen of your videos that you have out, or a bunch of them, maybe not a dozen, but at least 5 of them, and I'm probably more like 10. And I was watching the system that you have as you're going through it. I'm like, holy shit. I mean, this is totally legit. I mean, it totally seems cool. And because I have written a book, and because I had to, or not had to, but I found a publisher that helped me do the things that you have done in your system, everything that you're saying, it's like, yup, he did that. Yup, my publisher did that. Yup, my publisher did that. And what was cool about it is now you're teaching other people how to do what
has been previously unknown to most people that have any kind of book, but you can take it even beyond the book and do it in regular marketing of all sorts of products and services too.
Absolutely. And just to take a step further, one of the biggest reasons why my step-by-step and kind of number crunching type area really works in book marketing is that most of us are dealing on Amazon.com, right? Amazon is the largest book market in the world. But more importantly, Amazon is the second largest search engine in the world. Right now, especially for products.
I was thinking it went Google, YouTube, and then I didn't even put Amazon in like the top. I don't know why I didn't. I just thought of that more of a service provider, a product provider, rather than a search mechanism. But I guess you could, right?
Well, in this case, they actually have a name for that algorithm called the A9 algorithm. And its sole purpose is to say, all right, if you type something into Amazon, let's find the best product for people. And in a way, it kind of acts like Google does, except that it's a product, not a page, right?
Right.
So when I started to kind of use that engineering background, I say to myself, exactly why does Amazon do this? Like, why is it that this book shows up before this one? I started to kind of dig in, and I realized that in the book marketing world, a lot of people hadn't kind of approached it mathematically and started to look at, how this algorithm does what it does and things like that. And so I finally found that perfect area for me where it was like, you have to understand sales. You have to understand, how to talk and find the right market and bring them to where you want. But at the same time, you need to understand why is it that an algorithm named A9 chose that dude's book over mine? Like, what the heck? And, statistically speaking, being at the top of the list will bring you statistically, two times more sales. So that dude being above me means he's getting double the sales over me. So these are things that are really important, not only for, New York Times bestselling authors, but especially for brand new authors. Somebody who doesn't have the huge name or the phenomenal platform or whatever. This is your opportunity to get your book in front of that hungry shopper who's trying to buy a book right now. And that's the best time to show up.
All right, so A9 is what it's called, is what their algorithm is called. So, and in listening to some of the things that you talk about on your YouTube videos, I was noticing that it seems to be a pretty easy system to follow. But like most things, once you get into it, it probably, at least to me, again, third grade. I'm not. You're talking to a nuclear engineer here. You are talking to a third grader. Okay, so once you get into it, it gets a little complicated to me. So why don't you share specifically how you help those that have great content, because it really isn't just, as some of the tricks that I heard you were talking about, it's not just about people that have written books. So if you're not an author, don't tune away. If you are an author, stay here. But if you're not an author, it does not mean that this is not for you. So talk about how great content, the process works for them as well, because it can work for them too, right?
Well, here's the thing. You could have the greatest content in the world, and if nobody ever finds it, it'll never be discovered. Right?
Yeah.
Here's a great author story that I love telling. In this case, there's this woman who, she kept bringing her daughter to the coffee shop, and every waking moment she was working on her book. And finally, after years of working on this thing, it was finished. And she hands it to a book agent. The agent goes through like every, publishing company out there, and the publishers all reject it. And he's like, what the heck? And so finally he calls in a favor to one particular publisher, and he says, all right, that's it. I'm calling in the favor. You got to check this out. The dude's like, fine, whatever. So he takes it. What does he do? He doesn't read it. He hands it off to his 13-year-old daughter and says, here, you read the first chapter. Let me know how it goes. She comes back like a cat on crack and is like, where's the second chapter? And he looks down at the book. He's like, maybe I should look more into this Harry Potter thing.
Holy shit.
So here we have the greatest, biggest money-making book of our time, okay? Nobody can argue that. It made more, we're talking billions when you add in all the merchandise, okay?
Right.
And yet, nobody would take it. So here, I'm telling you flat out that you could have the greatest book in the world, but if you can't get it in front of people, it will never take off.
Amen. Amen. And I don't mean to interrupt you, but I've been preaching to the choir, it sounds like in your particular case, but I've been talking to my community about, I'm telling you, everybody, marketing a book is 80% of the skill set that's involved. 20% of it is writing. You have to be able to be a champion marketer to get your book, or nobody's fucking going to read the book.
That's right. You definitely don't need to be an Ernest Hemingway. I sure am not. As a matter of fact, when I was in high school, I specifically remember my high school teacher coming up to me, and she handed back this paper, and it was a paper where I had spent a long time, and I got emotional in it. So I was like, I'm writing this right because I'm emotional. It's going to be great. She hands me back. It's a D+. And she goes, Dave, you're going to study physics in college, right? And I go, yes, ma'am. She goes, that's probably a good call. She was an awesome. I love the fact that she had that kind of sense of humor. I mean, awesome. However, I was no writer. There was no dream in me. And as a matter of fact, I tell people, from high school and college days that I now write, and they all laugh. I mean, out loud. So I'm not here to say that you can't be a bad writer and succeed.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah,
but you don't have to be amazing. You have to just deliver on what that market wants. And then more importantly, like you just said, is to be the one that shows up in front of them. Look, if you answer my pain point, right, and you're the one that I found, then you're the one that wins. Like, that's it. But if you have the best answer to my pain point and I can't find it, then you lose, period.
All right, so share with our Nice Guy community a couple things. One of the things that I was most intrigued about is that it doesn't have to be a book. I mean, it doesn't have to be a full length 175, 250 page book. You talk about creating a small ebooks that you can do this with too. Is that right? Just to get your brand found, or am I interpreting this incorrectly?
Well, actually, there's a lot of different ways that different markets, not just authors, can grow their business. Now, we just said that Amazon's one of the largest search engines. More importantly, it's the largest search engine when somebody's wanting to buy something. And so you may be somebody in a completely different industry, but understand that being able to provide a book, even a short book that addresses the perfect pain point for your market, can be the gateway to getting them from Amazon to your services. All right. Here's a great couple of examples. I once worked with a lawyer up in Seattle. Okay. And he's a DUI lawyer. And so we were talking about it. And actually the funny part was I was on his podcast. We were talking. He was like, oh my God, I need to do this. I said, why haven't you written a book on, what to do when you have a DUI? I'm sure that's the first thing that goes through someone's mind when, oh man, I messed up.
Right. And then we're about to spend $15,000 to get my ass out of jail and spend $20 on a book that would probably, or free on a book that will help me.
Exactly. And some people turn to Google, but sometimes people want a book because that feels like book information. And so what he did was after our podcast, he wrote a free book on what to do when you get a DUI. And he made it perma-free on Amazon. We've got, on Kindlepreneur, I've got tips and tricks on how to do that. It's actually a couple steps. Again, I'm a how-to guy. But he made it free. Yep. And then what he did was inside the book, he had links to his website. Now, granted, a lot of people are like, well, hey, what if the guy's not, in Seattle? Well, the cool part was he also set up those lawyer recommendations where when you contact him, he now gets a referral fee for sending you to your respective lawyer in Alabama or what have you. So not only did he have increase in his customers and increase in his referral fees, he also had one other thing that's really helped him in his business is that he hit bestseller status. Okay, and he's now a best-selling author on DUIs. Now, let me ask you this: if you're in Seattle and you walk in and you're you go to one lawyer and he's like, "Oh, I went to this college." You're like, "Okay." You get another guy, you're trying to figure out which one you do. And he's like, "Oh, I went, over here. Here's a really nice business card." And then you come to this dude, and he's like, "Well, I'm a best-selling author on DUIs, and here's a free book." And hands him the physical copy of the book. That's his calling card. Let me tell you, he closes like crazy, all because of a single book. And is it a 100,000 word book? No, it's actually like 20,000 or 15,000.
20,000. So it's less. It's probably 40 pages.
Exactly.
I mean,
and
oh my gosh,
the funniest part is he actually had one of his assistants just compile a lot of his notes together to create it. So I'm not saying put together crappy
books. Dude, I'm loving you. You know how many people out there have blogs that they could string together and categorize or chapterize in different, in different ideas. Oh my gosh, I love these kind of things because I know it's a great idea when I start sweating when I'm talking to somebody. I'm like, holy shit, this is a great idea. Again, when I first started looking at you, I'm like, okay, and again, not taking anything away from you, Dave, at all, but I was thinking he's a book marketing expert. As I started to look further, I'm like, fuck it, he's not a book marketing expert. Yes, it's one of the things that he does. You're a marketing expert that happens to use the vehicle of Amazon to get shit done.
Absolutely.
This is Amazing. This is amazing. Okay, so share with me, and you don't have to get into every single nut and bolt here, but share with me how this works financially for a potential client. Is this a done with you process, a done for you process, a combination of the two things? And give me generally what somebody would expect to spend on a service like this.
The service to be able to kind of put together a book and get it out there. There are a lot of great ones out there. I think it's happypublishing.com is a good one. But for those of you out there who don't have the time and kind of want to be able to create things, I think Book in a Box is another one that's out there that you can do. So it doesn't have to be you who has to, set aside time and to be able to create this calling card, best-selling, status maker, or service generator, whatever it be. So you can do that. Otherwise, if you're a DIY person out there, my website, Kindlepreneur.com, is completely free. And you can go there and start learning about how to get your book together. And there are some great resources.
Great videos, man. Great. I mean, I'm telling you, I was watching a bunch of your videos and I'm like, you just literally go through it step by step. But how about if somebody doesn't want to go through it step by step, but do you do it for them, or do they have to do it? Do you have a system that you're only going to tie somebody into? I mean, either way, it's fine. I'm just trying to be realistic for my audience.
Nope, I don't have a service myself, but I do recommend like Happy Publishing and Book in a Box. They're two great ones that will be able to do it for you. For me, I focus on just kind of teaching. It's my thing. I do some consulting from time to time, but it's very rare. I've done it for a couple of New York Times bestsellers and also for a couple of publishing companies, but it was more of like kind of like an interest, like, oh, that's cool to be able to work with you.
Maybe I'm missing it a little bit then. Where do you make your money in this side of the business?
Well, a lot of it, I'm not going to lie, there are affiliate links, and I put that first and foremost in all my articles. I also develop software that helps to do that whole, figuring out Amazon. One thing I learned is that you can start talking about the theory and strategy of understanding what people type into Amazon and whether or not that's a good book to write. But then when you start to get into Excel sheets and numbers, like everybody's eyes just glaze over. They're like, ugh. So what we did was we created a software that does all of that for you. You just type in, what your general idea is, and it quickly tells you, hey, these are the words that people actually use when they're looking for that kind of book on Amazon. This is how many people type that in, and this is how competitive that would be, so maybe you should look at something more niche. And we tested it with like people ranging from age 14 all the way to 75 just to make sure it's as intuitive as possible. So that's been our major thing, and it's called KDProcket.
And that's where somebody's going to go to in order to start with your entire system, just to get in. I'm taking it from step one. Somebody has, hey, I have a book and I'm not really sure what to do with it from a marketing perspective. What's my first step with you?
Well, I think the first thing you should do is go to Google and type in the word or phrase, book idea validation. And my article should show up number one right there. Click on that, and it will help you step through the process of figuring out if your book idea is going to sell on Amazon. Okay, and I show you the free way of doing it, so you don't need my software. It's not one of those articles.
I got it.
And what you can do is you can start to find out. Now, if you do this, what the article says, okay, and you find out that, nope, there's nobody on Amazon looking for that book, okay, it doesn't mean you can't write the book. But what it does mean is you as an author cannot depend on Amazon to sell the book for you. You've now got to do the marketing tactics of going out on the internet, finding the right market, grab them by the collar, and dragging them to your book page. Now, if you're not prepared to do that, okay, then you got to ask yourself, what are you writing that book for? So two big major steps in marketing. A, verify that there's a market already on Amazon. B, be prepared to reach out, find the market, and bring them to Amazon. No other way in today's day.
It is truly amazing. What a great thing. If somebody wanted to get more information about because your blogs are really cool. Your even your Rocket FFL, your arms dealer stuff. What's that all about, dude? I mean, so tell me about that part of it too. Hold on, Nice Guy Community. We're going to make sure we put a link in the show notes so that you can get to everything that Dave is talking about on his website.
But before we conclude the interview, I would be remiss if I did not. I got to chat about this arms thing, because that's fucking awesome, dude. You're like a badass, but you're like in a nerd costume like me. So tell me a little bit about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I hope I didn't insult you just there.
No way. I wear nerd with pride. I'm tell you, I got more Star Wars stuff behind me than you can count.
Yeah, I saw that too on your bookshelves and your videos. You have a whole bunch of Star Wars stuff, and you got the little crown thing also. That's not not a StarArs thing, but from online.
Actually,
so
it kind of is. I sort of stole that my Kindlepreneur logo off of the Rebel symbol. So, and it's got a mix of a trident for the Navy. Anyways, I'm a nerd, so there's always Easter eggs in everything I do. Anyway,
Dave, how old are you have kids?
I do. Kids? I have 3. I have a 17-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old.
Oh, God bless you. You look like you're 25 yourself. So that's very, very cool. Very cool. What part of the country do you live in?
I live in Franklin, Tennessee.
Franklin. My wife was just down there visiting a couple of venues. How far between Nashville and Memphis are you?
I am directly south of Nashville, so 30 minutes south of Nashville. Which is fun because, Nash Vegas is awesome. But before this, I was in Sri Lanka, and that's where I did the international arms dealing. My job there was I worked for the U.S. Embassy, and I was kind of the representative between the United States and Sri Lanka. So, of course, all the arms weapons companies, they want to sell because they want to make money. But the key part is you have to have somebody there who says, look, it's not in the interest of the United States to give that to those guys or what have you. And so I worked with the U.S. ambassador, and we tried to figure out what was the best thing for, let's face it, America. So that was that, because there are a lot of different flavors to international arms dealing. I mean, technically, somebody who works for Boeing could say that, but I was like the guy for the U.S. Government to those countries. But when I got out of the military and I was done, doing the ODC chief thing, that's what the position was called. I then ran into a Army sniper, and his name's
saw that.
Yeah, his name's Ryan Kleckner. He's like a really big deal in shooting. He's on like the History Channel, and he's got a longtime number one best-selling book on long range shooting. It's incredible. And we got together and we were saying, hey, you understand SEO, search engine optimization. That was me. And I was like, and you are like the go-to guy for all these gun companies. I mean, you still work for most of them. I was like, let's combine our forces and create something. So we created a website called rocketffl.com that actually helps to train people and get them certified for their FFL, which is your federal firearms license. And that allows you to not only buy weapons directly from the manufacturer, so cutting out the middleman and saving you money, but also to be able to sell weapons to your friends and to people. So it was like, well, it's like domestic arms dealing.
What's the coolest weapon you had a chance to sell?
Well, so I'm not much of the seller here domestically, but I'm not going to lie though, I did use my FFL to buy a Israeli Tahor, and it is super fun.
What's that?
You ever see Starship Troopers, the movie?
Is that like the rectangular guns with the square edges and all that stuff?
Yeah,
or is it something else?
Yeah, it totally looks like one of those guns, which, again, the sci-fi nerd in me was like, yee! I want that one.
So what do you do with a gun like that? Can you shoot it anywhere here in the U.S. or no?
We do, yes. It's well within the legal rights. It's not one of those crazy, crazy ones. The cool thing is my partner Ryan Kleckner is actually an ATF lawyer, so it's awesome. He totally makes sure that we are always in compliance. Good guy to know. But no.
Yeah, I guess so.
But no, we just go out there and shoot in the range. It's a wonderful, time to kind of relax and take out a little steam, and that's it.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome, man. Hey, you have been a wealth of knowledge and information. I am excited to see what our Nice Guy community does with the information that you have with your Amazon book marketing. I think it's really cool. And also the other way that you can find Dave, if you want to, is all you need to do is Google. What is it, Kindlepreneur? Is that what you are, yep. Mr. Kindlepreneur? Yeah. That's pretty cool to be the Kindlepreneur. I think that's a good brand for you to maintain.
Thanks. Yeah, just a little funny joke on that one was recently somebody did like a YouTube video on like the top 10 YouTube channels or something on books and writing. And he went through everybody's name, but when he got to mine, he just kept calling me Kindlepreneur. The Kindlepreneur, here's Kindlepreneur, and he's talking about this. And I was like, his name is Bob. He has a name. No.
He definitely has a name, but that's cool. It's cool to be known. It's cool to be known as that for sure.
Totally.
So, all right, cool. So we'll make sure we put information in the show notes and all sorts of good information about you. And thanks for being on the show, Dave. What a great, what an interesting, entertaining guest you were. It's such a contradiction in terms between the two things you do, but it really isn't. There is definitely some overlap between arms dealer and book marketer. So nicely done.
Thank you kindly, and it's really good to be here.
Nice Guy community, never underestimate the value and the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Dave Chesson for being on the show today. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
Are you sure the legal department cleared this? Okay then. For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Hey, these bozos want to get sued. That's their business. Leave me out of it. Wait, we have a legal department?